Shalom Makers, want to give you an update as far as some pieces that we're working on. It's kind of slowing us down a little bit on our project, but at the same point I think it's going to help us out in the end. So this right here is what normal drain pipe looks like as far as perforated field tile for putting in a trench drain. I know this stuff's supposed to be crush proof, I think up to like 1,200 pounds or maybe it's 2,000 pounds, but I'll just be honest with you, even without this crack in here, I mean you can flex this stuff just amazingly well. I didn't trust it, so I went ahead and bought the Schedule 40, the thick wall. Got the stuff that's made in the United States, purchased it at Lowe's, and decided, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and make my own. It's not going to take that much more time, and I really feel from a confidence standpoint how good it's going to be. But I can stand, I mean I've got all my weight on this, and there is no give whatsoever. And if I didn't have one of these that was cut, but I mean you put any amount of weight on this and you can just see the deflection in it. So I'm not going to take the chance of putting and backfilling this hole with 8 feet of dirt. And this is the main part that gives us the opportunity to be waterproof inside. Because after talking to someone today who actually does this for a living, he told me if you don't get your drain right, he says that's 90% of most people's problems that have, you know, a leaking basement or leaking foundation or anything like that. It's because they don't have their drain right. So he was nice enough to explain that to me, and I told him what I was doing with the pipe, and he told me, he goes, Chris, on a small project, what you're doing, he says, we wish we could do that on all projects. He says, but it's going to last for a lifetime. And that's really what I want. I want this to be a lifetime project. I want it to be done right and in the manner that's going to be good for our family and good for the hope for the generations to come. So that's what we're doing. I'm drilling holes, and if you go look at any sort of pipe that's out there, you know, they put it in the lower, basically 40% of there. And when I counted them up, there's 75 holes basically per pipe. I was off a little bit on my math, and I guess it'll be hurting me, but we're at 78 holes on this first one. So we ended up with a few extra holes, but it'll just help us, and we'll see how far the couplings slide on. We may end up having a little bit of overlap there, but I'm not worried about it because we are using the Schedule 40. We'll get back to doing the trench drain later as far as the final pieces, but just want to share that with you right now as far as what we're doing to prepare for it. Thank you. Shalom. So what we're actually making a lot of progress on is we got 6 layers of the wall all the way up, all the way around. And what we've decided to do, so we don't have to start working off of ladders, is we're going to go ahead and put in our drain field, which is why we've got this black matting material down. And then this is why we've got a septic rock, because we're going to go ahead and start laying some initial rock in the hole. And then after that, I'm going to come back with a waterproofing. So I'm trying to put some of the rock in the hole first, so that way I don't have as much rock that's going to hit up against the sidewall. But I think we've come up with a plan for that also after talking with someone who does this for a living. But what we're going to do is we're going to put on a rubberized coating, rubberized paint, and it'll come down probably 3-4 inches down on the slab. And then we'll start taking it up the whole wall, you know, to about 4.5 feet or so. So then I'll be able to start pushing dirt back. But before we do that all, we're going to take you along on putting down this plastic mat, putting some rock, doing the rubber, and then getting set up for the drain field. Thank you all for watching. Shalom. Hello, as we talked earlier, we've got our gravel down. We've got our water barrier as far as to make sure that nothing leaches, real heavy material leaches through and actually messes with our drain field that we're going to put in tomorrow. Today, you can see right here, I'm putting down HLM 5000. This is the roller version. But what was so amazing, and obviously Yahweh, the Lord, had to have a hand in this. When I was going to pick this material up, because somebody recommended saying this was the best stuff, who would have thought that there was a gentleman there with over 20 years of experience, super knowledgeable on waterproofing, would have been there to answer all my questions. And the part that was so amazing, he spent at least 20 minutes talking to me. And you can see right here though, before I go, this is what you want to avoid. So there's some spots where we don't have it as flat as we should. So it's forced me to kind of glob on a little bit more, which this stuff's capable of doing. But if you want to have a really good membrane, you know, a nice rubber membrane when you're done, the least amount of, you know, globbing you can do and smoother your surfaces, the better it's going to be. So really it's on your mortar joints is your main watch out, because for the most part your block is pretty porous, but it's not, you know, anything like your mortar joints can be. And again, you may be just like us. It's your first time ever laying block. My son and I, Luke, we're pretty darn proud of where we're at. But when you do stuff like this, you can see the flaws and where you're at. And, you know, it's just going to be there. But in this particular case, it sounds like this product we've got, again, it's HLM 5000. You can buy it at a good concrete store. It's going to be pretty expensive. It's $150 for 5 gallons. The one thing I can tell you though, what it seems like, it says each gallon does between 20 and 30 square feet. It looks like from what I'm seeing, I'm getting about 1.5 times that. So, you know, I'm getting anywhere from probably 30 to 45 square feet out of a gallon. So definitely feeling good about where we're at. Great to see how Yahweh, the Lord's protecting us. And that's the next part that we want to talk about, because the gentleman told me that you can put on the best waterproofing in the world that we make. He said, but if you don't set up your drain field right, he said your waterproofing really is only 10% of it. He said your drain field is 90% of it. So that's why today I wanted to throw a little rock down first and get that barrier down. And then tomorrow what we're going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and attach to this outside material. I'm going to go ahead and attach a 1/2 inch foam board. I'm going to attach it to it, and then that'll protect this membrane, so that way nothing can get to it when I'm backfilling the hole, and then also putting in more rock, because we're going to need a total of probably 12 to 14 inches of rock is what we'll have in the hole when we're done. And then our pipe will be somewhere in the center of that. And we have gone ahead and decided to use a 4-inch Schedule 40 pipe. It's required quite a bit more work. Got some videos showing us drilling the holes and doing other things. But that's one thing when I talked to that gentleman who does the waterproofing for a living. He told me by doing that, he says you're really going to extend the life of your drain field. He says so many people just go with the quick stuff off the shelf. He says it's great, you know, there is a life expectancy with it. He said, but with what we did with the Schedule 40 by buying such a nice thick wall pipe, he says we've just made it so, you know, we should have more than double the life expectancy out of our drain field. And then that's what we wanted. Because with all projects we try to give it the best effort we can at the best price. Because you can expense yourself out of doing any project if you want. But I don't think that's the case in most projects. If you really start looking around, you can find some good savings and other things like that. And again, down here on the bottom, this is the one area he told me when you're attaching it to your foundation, he says make sure that would be the one area he would recommend going over twice. So I'm hoping I have enough material left so we can go over this twice, because that is definitely what we want to do, is make sure that, you know, because our pipe's going to be sitting about right here, about an inch and 3/4, inch and a half to 1 3/4 off the back wall, and then it'll continue to go down that way, because that's where our drain field is going to be running to. So we'll do his recommendations, putting on this material, and then we're going to put 2 coats on right at the very bottom, you know, about this last basically 6-inch piece. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with you in a little bit as we do more work. Shalom. Okay, so we've put on the whole rubberized coating. Now we're in the process of putting on this 1/2 inch foam material. It doesn't matter which side you put on, the white side or the reflective side that we have out. I'm just choosing the reflective side just for in some chance that it's going to be a little bit of time before we get the hole covered. It will reflect the sun, because this material that we put on is not UV stable, so it's not actually going to be it's not able to handle the sun. It's not designed for long-term exposure to sun. So just trying to give us a little bit of an advantage there. You can see the seams we've just duct taped. We'll do that on we're doing that on the corners too. And all we're going to do now is actually just put this 1/2 inch foam all the way around the whole lower layer. And you can see we've left ourselves enough room that's going to give us a little bit of a joint, so as we go up we'll be able to then cross over with the waterproofing. Stay with us. Thanks. Shalom. Okay, you can see now we've got a little over 2 tons of rock in the hole. We've got our cover as far as that we're putting over the rock up against the foam panel, so that way when we're done putting in the pipe and putting in more rock, then we'll wrap that over the top. So I'm going to go run to the store and get another, or to the actual gravel yard, pick up another couple tons of rock, and when I come back I'm going to start plumbing. Thanks for staying with us. Okay, I'm back. You can see we've got the pipe all the way around the whole perimeter of the root cellar. And then if you look down low here, you should be able to see, yeah, there's the holes, so the holes are on the sides and underneath on the very bottom. What we're working towards now is I'm actually going to set everything up so it starts to drain. So I'm going to take a measurement off the top right here and go down, and I'm looking for about 1.5 inches to 1.75 inches as far as, so I'm looking for the distance from the top up here to the floor of the actual slab. And then we're going to go 1.75 inches to 1.5 inches below that. And then as I go down grade that direction, I'll probably get to 3.5. So I'm going to have a couple inch slope all the way down, and then I'll continue down from there that much further, and then that will get me out to where the sidewalk's at. But right now I want to get this part done and set, feel comfortable with where it's at, and then I'm going to go ahead and start backfilling with rock. See you in a few. Okay, you can look and see right over here, we've got our pipe buried. It's sitting right at 45 inches as far as from the top of the block to the top of the pipe. So we've got 1.5 inches buried below where the floor's at. And then if you look and zoom all the way down this way, that is sitting at 47 inches. So it is actually 2 inches lower. I wish I could get a little bit more than that, but I feel comfortable with where we're at. I've got 2 inches over 17 feet. I wish I could, like I said, I wish I could get 3 inches, but 2 inches is where I feel comfortable with. Making sure then where I'm going to drain it out into, I'm going to have a good drain field. What I'm doing right now is I've actually set up a board inside, set up a couple half blocks, and I'm actually just piling up the rock over the pipe. Doing that for 2 reasons. One, I'm trying to prevent having to go back to go get another load of rock. And the other part is I actually just want to see how much rock it's going to take to do this without having to backfill all the way, over into the wall. Because I don't think I'm going to gain a whole lot more from that. Everybody I've talked with already says that since I've disturbed the ground, it's going to start flowing through the ground anyway. So I'd really just want to have the rock around the pipe. 1, because I don't have to shovel as much, and 2, from a cost standpoint. Shalom.